Revealed, 7 Miraculous Ways Control Blocks Supernatural Manifestation and Divine Healing. In the quaint village of Ashford, the air was thick with whispers of divine intervention, crackling with the energy of hope and faith, as Sarah knelt before the altar, her heart heavy with despair. There, beneath the flickering candlelight, she sought her beloved patron saint cloaked in white, surrounded by a radiant glow known for miraculous healing. The moment she prayed, the atmosphere shimmered with an unseen presence. Could her son David, lying ill, truly be healed? As she poured her soul into prayer, Sarah felt warmth envelop her like a tender embrace. Suddenly, haunting revelations flooded her mind, blocks that hindered divine grace and healing. Each hidden weight began to appear like shadows revealing themselves to the light. Doubt crept in, gnawing at her heart. Fear erupted, tightening its grip around her spirit. Unconfessed sins whispered in her ear, demanding acknowledgement. Isolation suffocated her, as bitterness tangled her thoughts and left her gasping for mercy. One by one, the 7 hidden blocks unfurled before her eyes, each more daunting than the last, a tangle of emotions and memories, heavy chains binding her faith. Panic arose, but also determination. If she could confront these shadows, perhaps the healing she craved could be unleashed. On the Sunday following David's initial prognosis, the village church filled with anxious souls. Word had traveled fast about David's condition, and the air buzzed with murmurs of prayer. Then, a familiar figure emerged from the back, a respected pastor from the neighboring town, an anointed man whose prayers were said to reach the heavens. When he entered, a hush fell. People leaned in, their hearts racing with expectancy. His voice, warm and fatherly, began to weave tales of hope, glowing testimonies of miraculous transformations that bathed the congregation with renewed faith. Sarah felt the flickers of hope ignited among the villagers. They squeezed each other's hands, weary hearts finding solace in unity. Yet a darkness loomed, for David's health hung in a fragile balance, the doctors delivering bleak assessments that sent shudders through the community. As tension coiled tightly around her hope, the pastor reached a crescendo in his message, words that sent tremors down Sarah's spine. God's power is not limited by human understanding. He passionately proclaimed, igniting a fire in the hearts of shared faith. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In that moment, anticipation filled the air like an expectant hush, when suddenly, as if responding to the fervent prayers, an inexplicable event erupted. A man, once crippled, rose before the congregation, his healed limbs echoing glory and shock. Gasps swept through the pews, tears spilled as joy engulfed the room. Could this be the miracle they prayed for? A beacon of hope that promised healing for David. But just as quickly, doubt crept into Sarah's heart, heavy and unwelcome. Was her faith true? Was she fully surrendered to the will of God? Standing on the edge of belief, the weight of her questions flooded in. She knew she had to confront her barriers, to find truth in the chaos, as fear and faith danced violently within her. The congregation, eyes wide, held their breath, every whisper echoing the same question: was a miracle waiting on the other side of her doubts? And with every heartbeat, the possibility grew, leaving one burning question: could Sarah embrace the fullness of her faith, and in doing so, bring divine healing to her son? The air crackled with expectation, thick and charged as the pastor's voice faded into reverent silence. For Sarah, that moment stretched infinitely, as if time suspended itself just for her. Her heart pounded like a drum, every beat echoing the familiar blend of fear and hope. But amidst it all, a flicker of revelation danced within her. The warm glow of faith lightened her burden, reminding her that she was not alone. Around her, villagers exchanged looks, eyes shimmering with a mix of awe and yearning. Hope had somehow woven its way back into the hearts of all who gathered, shimmering like stars on a dark night. Sarah inhaled deeply, letting the shared faith of the crowd seep into her bones, igniting a spark of courage deep within. She glanced toward the altar, where flickering candles flickered with each whispered prayer. Could faith truly overcome even the most desperate of situations? She thought of David, lying pale and fragile, a heart still beating bravely against the unyielding tide of illness. Surely, he deserved to feel the same breath of life that surrounded her now. The pastor's words echoed in her mind. His declaration of God's limitless power felt like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Determined, she rose to her feet. The soft murmur of the congregation faded into a low hum as Sarah moved forward, the aisle seeming to part for her as she walked. Each step was both a declaration and a plea, an offering of her doubts laid open for all to witness. Would she yield to fear or embrace the divine potential that beating in her heart? As she reached the front, she dropped to her knees, her hands clasped tightly in prayer. Lord, she spoke softly, yet with conviction, I seek your healing not just for my son, but for myself. Free me from the chains of doubt and fear. Help me release my burdens. The congregation echoed her sentiments, their voices entwined like vines reaching for the sun. Sarah felt the collective faith rising, a tangible wave that swept around her, lifting her spirit higher. Tears of relief streamed down her cheeks as she surrendered her deepest fears and secret sins, laying them before the feet of grace. Suddenly, a hush swept through the church, a moment of divine stillness. Sarah lifted her gaze, her heart racing. A warm light filled the altar, pulsing gently, enveloping her in a cocoon of love that felt impossibly real. And in that sacred space, she sensed David's presence, an invisible bond connecting mother and son. Believe, a voice whispered softly, echoing her innermost thoughts. It was the gentle reminder to embrace the miracle already unfolding, one thread at a time. What would be her next step? Trust? Action? Or perhaps a deeper surrender? For now, her heart recognized only the peace that flooded her soul, urging her to continue the journey through faith. She stood again, breathing deeply. As she turned back towards the congregation, a new fire burned within her, a determination that felt unshakable. She smiled through her tears, knowing that the healing she sought for David was linked to her own transformation. Could they bring light to the darkness that had shrouded her life? As they clasped hands in unity, her spiritually awakened heart echoed the thoughts of those around her, sparking whispers of hope amid uncertainty. In that shared moment, it became clear a miracle was drawing near. What began as a struggle against control was morphing into a collective act of release. But would they be prepared for the powerful wave of divine intervention that could follow? The echoes of prayer left Sarah with one final question: what would the heavenly will manifest in their lives when fear was finally replaced by unwavering faith? Sarah felt an undeniable energy radiating through the church, the spirit of prayer engulfing her like a warm blanket. The light that filled the altar pulsed rhythmically, mirroring the hearts of those gathered. Each flicker of the candles felt like a heartbeat, a tangible reminder that life and spirit thrived here. Lord, let this moment be our turning point. Her whispered prayer hung in the air, a sweet offering. She sought not just healing for David but a transformation for the entire community. They had all been burdened by fears of loss, of uncertainty, of the darkness lurking in corners. As they stood together, united in purpose, Sarah sensed the dawning of a new chapter. The congregation seemed hungrier for hope than ever. Murmurs of Amen and Hallelujah began to resonate, a symphony of faith rising like incense. Each voice joined in unison, the beautiful tapestry of prayer wove a fabric of connection. They were all in this together, each echo inspiring the next. In that sacred environment, Sarah locked eyes with a woman across the room, Mrs. Thompson, her neighbor whose husband had passed away just months before. The shared grief they had endured brought a flicker of understanding. If they were to embrace divine healing, it had to come with acceptance, with possibility. A community that had faced darkness could also welcome the light. What if we prayed together? Sarah's voice broke through her thoughts, emboldened by the collective atmosphere. Let us do it. Mrs. Thompson replied, rallying others to join. Soon, the entire room was filled with passionate voices lifting each other up in prayer, each plea a testament to their faith and vulnerability. But then, an unsettling realization washed over Sarah. Could they truly open their hearts without surrendering the control that often anchored them? The fear of the unknown was a fierce whisper in the back of her mind. They had clung tightly to what they knew, fearing the risks of complete surrender, but could they overcome it? God, give us the strength, she began again, this time louder, driven by urgency as she knelt once more. She needed everyone to grasp the gravity of this moment, for their healing was intertwined with one another. Free us from the chains of control, help us let go. The air thickened with devotion. As they prayed, a shiver ran through the crowd, a wave of understanding seemed to ripple out. Eyes began to open, and hearts began to soften. They were all wrestling with the fears that had kept them bound, shackled by an unhealthy grip on outcomes and circumstances. In this act of faith, they began exchanging their control for trust. Each heartbeat that resonated in unison was a reminder that they were co-authoring their healing together. Sarah felt a surge of warmth, recognition dawning on her. Faith and control could not coexist. They were at a crossroads, revealing a profound truth: breakdowns could lead to breakthroughs. As they prayed, a sudden stillness enveloped the church once again. An electric anticipation crackled in the air. "Look!" Someone gasped as a luminous glow intensified at the altar, illuminating the room with a divine radiance. Sarah's heart raced as she felt the palpable presence of the sacred burgeoning in response to their transformation. "Faith brings miracles," she proclaimed, the realization ringing with clarity. But what lay ahead? With each fervent heartbeat, a question loomed: could their courageous act of surrender unlock even greater mysteries of divine grace? As the vibrant energy pulsed around them, that profound mystery lingered, leaving the congregation teetering on the edge of revelation. What would their next step reveal, and would they dare to find out? The glow at the altar danced like flames, casting soft shadows on the walls. The collective breath held by the congregation felt like a pause in time. The room pulsed with anticipation. Faces uplifted, reflecting wonder and awe. "Can you feel it?" Sarah murmured, half to herself, half to the others around her. The warmth radiated deeper than skin, it sank into souls, igniting something long dormant. This sacred moment was calling them all to rise up and embrace something greater. "Trust," a voice called out. Sarah recognized it as Mrs. Thompson's. "We must trust." With that affirmation, a ripple of courage swept through the room. Vulnerability replaced fear as hearts opened wide, shedding layers of doubt like autumn leaves falling to the ground. Each whisper of prayer became a thread, tangling them in a tapestry of faith, drawing them together under the radiance that pulsed at the altar. Sarah stood taller, reminded of the early rain nourishing the sprouts. Each prayer was like a seed planted, yearning to reach for the light promised by God. "We're called to be fertile soil," she thought. "To allow His grace to grow within us." Yet, with each fervent heartbeat, doubts wrestled at her spirit. What if they prayed without expectation? What if healing was not just physical, but an awakening of their spirits? "Lord, guide us," she cried, pouring her heart into the fervor. "May we be open to receive what you wish to share." In that instant, the luminous glow shifted, swirling into a shape like a delicate dove. Gasps spread across the crowd, a divine messenger. The sight was surreal and heavy with meaning. Hope and trepidation intertwined as the spirit of their prayers lifted higher. Suddenly, a wave of voices filled the church in unison, chants of praise like a chorus from the heavens. "We believe. We believe." The words rolled off their lips, carrying their fears away into the embrace of faith. Amidst the passion, Sarah felt tears mingle with laughter, each drop a blessing of release. The burdens they had carried, their desperate cries for control, melted into compassion for one another. This was transformation. Then, as the congregation surged with unified belief, the light brightened, revealing a cracked path illuminated by grace. It beckoned, calling them into the unknown, yet promising something beautiful awaited them. "Together, we can go forward," Sarah spoke softly, her voice steady amid the cacophony. Let the light guide us, Church. Let us walk in faith, not fear. As the realization washed over them, they began to step forward into the light, a move that felt more like a leap of faith, beyond the ordinary. But just as they took those steps toward the altar, a cool breeze swept through the church, contrasted by the electric warmth that still lingered. Was it another sign? Or an invitation deeper into understanding? The atmosphere thickened, pregnant with the promise of something more profound, as an unsettling question emerged. What if letting go of control meant embracing something far more significant than they had ever imagined? Tension danced in the air as every heartbeat echoed that question within them, whispering of the divine mysteries that awaited revelation. Would they dare to venture further? The breeze flowed gently, carrying a whisper of truths yet to unfold. Sarah felt its caress on her face, a reminder of the sacred connection tethered between heaven and earth. Instinctively, the congregation instinctively drew closer, their hearts pulsating like one collective beating drum, thumping against the silence that hung like a fragile thread. Isn't it beautiful? A voice broke into her thoughts. It was Ethan, his presence a comforting anchor amidst the turbulence of emotions. We're so close, I can just feel it. Yes, Sarah responded, her voice barely a whisper, but the fear is also here. She could see it in the eyes of those around her. The flickering hope had sparked a flame, but shadows of uncertainty loomed. The unknown beckoned them, yet their feet remained heavy, shackled by years of doubt and expectations. Suddenly, a thud echoed in the space. An older gentleman, Mr. Johnson, had fallen to his knees, face to the ground, overwhelmed by the Spirit. God, I let go. He declared, his voice trembling. The authenticity of his surrender sent ripples of inspiration through the congregation. Let us join him. Sarah called out, her spirit ignited by his vulnerability. Let us all let go. Surrender our desires. Trust that he knows what we need. One by one, the believers fell to their knees, some weeping, others lifting their hands in praise. The air thickened with emotion, a sacred exchange unfolding as they released their fears and doubts into the hands of God. It was a wave, an inner tide that surged over the congregation, lifting burdens they hadn't even realized they were carrying. As the sound of tearful confessions filled the air, the light at the altar seemed to pulsate like a heartbeat. It intensified, casting a glow that transformed the sanctuary into a divine dreamscape. Shadows danced in joy, and the walls shimmered as if the very structure of the church was responding to their surrender. Every tear, it's a healing, whispered Mrs. Thompson, her voice cutting through the noise with ease, weaving comfort into the hearts surrounding her. Every moment of letting go is a step closer to his presence. And then it happened. A collective gasp erupted as the light transformed again, illuminating a path that seemed etched in gold. It called to them, urging their trembling hearts forward, more resonant than before. Sarah could see a crowd forming at the edge of the glow, faces aglow with the promise of his presence. But even so, a new question emerged within her heart. Could they truly let go completely? What if their vision of healing was just a fragment of God's vast tapestry? The uncertainty laced itself through her thoughts, weaving a strong thread of anticipation. We don't just come for healing, do we? She pondered aloud, allowing her vulnerability to surface for all to hear. What if it's not just about us? What if in our letting go, we open the door for something astounding to pour in? With those words, a wave surged, and the congregation reacted as if struck by lightning. Their eyes gleamed with realization. The weight on their shoulders lightened considerably, they became aware of a larger purpose hidden deeper than their individual desires. His plans are greater. Someone shouted, echoing the unknowing words that hung in the air. We're called to be the vessels of his miracles. The very essence of the church felt electric. There was an unmistakable pulse, a drawing together of souls ready to embark on a journey of faith, a journey that began with each uncertain step they were daring to take. And as they stood there on the brink of the illuminated path, Sarah recognized an unsettling truth lurking beneath the thrill of excitement. What would it truly take for them to move forward, leaving behind the comfort of their former selves? With hearts pounding in resonance, they paused ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Would they dare? Would they let God's light guide them into the extraordinary? The aura of anticipation grew thicker, like a heavy fog enveloping them in warmth and unity. Each heart beat in rhythm, echoing the pulse of divine promise. Sarah felt the sparks of hope dance within her just beyond the threshold, waiting for them to step into the light. Together, we can do this. Ethan's voice rose above the whispers, his eyes bright with fervor. The faith in his gaze was infectious, spreading through the crowd like wildfire. Old fears began to dissolve, replaced by a new strength. Yet beneath that exhilaration lay a truth unspoken. What if the path ahead was more daunting than they could imagine? What if letting go meant confronting deep-rooted pain and longing? Sarah felt the tension coil within her, ready to either break or break open. Just take a step. Mrs. Thompson urged, glancing at each hesitant face as if drawing strength from them. The light guides us to something beautiful, something life-changing. With those words, Sarah felt the knot in her chest loosen. The hesitation that once held her captive began to fade. She took a tentative step forward. A few others followed, testing the waters of faith together. As they moved, the light beckoned, shimmering with promises of healing and transformation. Each step felt like a release, a surrender. Shadows of their past seemed to dissolve behind them, fading into mere whispers carried away by the Spirit's gentle breeze. Suddenly, bursts of laughter erupted around them. Joy bubbled, breaking through the solemnity, scattering the remaining doubts. It was a joy steeped in raw authenticity, akin to children discovering treasures on a sunlit shore. I feel something shifting. A young woman cried out, her hands raised as if trying to catch the light itself. It's alive. Others erupted in cheers, voices mingling like notes of a harmonious song. Bodies swayed, and footfalls became dance steps as their spirits intertwined, forming an electrifying unity. Sarah watched in awe, recognizing that this moment was not just about individual healing. It was a collective transformation, a ripple of divine movement among them. But still, she sensed the lingering hesitance in some souls. What lay beyond this threshold was a mystery. Could they fully embrace the unknown? Mr. Johnson, still kneeling, lifted his gaze, eyes glistening with tears that reflected the pulsing light. If we hold on to our fears, we miss out on what he is doing. Let go to let in. His words resonated in the air, a divine echo that urged everyone to surrender deeper. With a deep breath, Sarah closed her eyes. She felt the weight of her past and the burdens she had carried for too long. God, I lay it all down before you, she whispered quietly into the stillness of her heart. Lead me into the profound. As she opened her eyes, the congregation surged forward, propelled by a sudden burst of unity. Colors enveloped them, sapphire blues, radiant golds, as the light cascaded from above, anointing them with divine hope. It was a breathtaking sight. Individuals joined together, stepping out of their constraints, igniting the fire of revival. In that moment, she glimpsed something deeper. Healing wasn't just for the individual, it was for the collective spirit of the community, woven together by unseen hands. But then a question surged through her, demanding to be asked: what if this was just the beginning? What if they had only scratched the surface of God's power? As the congregation embraced this collective miracle, Sarah's heart raced with curiosity and anticipation. Would they dare to uncover the greater purpose that awaited them? What would happen next on this pathway of light? As they stepped into the light, an energy pulsed through the air, vibrant and full of possibility. Sarah could feel the warmth swell around her, like a gentle embrace from heaven itself. Each breath she took filled her with new courage, as if the atmosphere was alive with divine presence. Look! Ethan pointed towards the horizon. The light wasn't just a glimmer anymore, it formed a brilliant path ahead, stretching beyond their vision, beckoning them onward. It's beautiful. It feels transformative. The crowd murmured in awe, eyes wide as they gazed at the unfolding vista. With tender eyes, Sarah scanned her surroundings. She noticed whispers of faith blossoming into shouts of joy. The light seemed to draw them closer, illuminating faint traces of their past, now fading like distant echoes. Here and now, they stood on the verge of a divine revelation. But then, a shadow flickered at the edges of her mind, a reminder of the struggles they endured, the pain each carried within. Would the promise of this journey be as bright as the light seemed? Only if we let go of what holds us back. A voice cried out. It was Mrs. Thompson, her face radiant with love and tenacity. You can't hold on to old wounds if you want to embrace the healing. Her words struck a chord deep within Sarah's heart. It resonated, awakening an urgency to release the negative chains that had long held her captive. She clenched her fists, feeling the weight of her fears. What if confronting the past would crack open a floodgate of hurt? Yet, as more individuals began to advance, a wave of determination rose within her. One by one, the group began to step forward, voices mingling in a crescendo of praise. With every step, burdens fell away. Tears flowed freely now, but they were tears of liberation, cleansing their spirits of scars once thought indelible. Together, we step into our healing. Someone shouted, and the crowd responded, their voices a sweet melody that harmonized with the light above, a sound rich with hope and the promise of new beginnings. Caught in the thrum of this movement, Sarah felt her heart lift, buoyed by the collective spirit. Memories, once haunting, seemed to dissolve her childhood fears, her unfulfilled dreams, everything released into the ether, no longer weighing her down. Look! Someone on the outskirts exclaimed. Do you see? The light is changing color. Indeed, the luminous path began to shift into shades of gold and silver, weaving intricate patterns that sparkled like stars. It felt as though the very fabric of their reality was being stitched into something infinitely more beautiful than they could ever imagine. As they continued forward, a realization dawned on her: the light wasn't just a guide, it was a reflection of their unity. Each person brought their unique pain, and in surrendering, they transformed their hurt into a collective power of healing. Every misgiving shared, every fear released, was another step closer to divine revelation. And still, Sarah sensed a deeper mystery waiting beyond the brilliance. What wonders might unfold as they ventured further? Would this be the moment where they truly released their past and grasped the extraordinary plans God had for them? Each heartbeat drummed a question as they slipped deeper into the light, ignited by faith and a shared desire to discover their true purpose. She felt raw, palpable energy around them, as if the heavens themselves were whispering secrets of revival. What else awaited them in this sacred journey? What would they discover at the end of this golden path? With every step into the shimmering expanse, it was as if the very air around them grew thicker with hope and possibility. Sarah felt an exhilarating rush course through her veins, a bubbling excitement intermingling with her fears. It was a paradox, this push and pull between trepidation and hope. Ethan moved closer to her as they trudged onward. Do you feel that? He asked, his eyes bright with wonder. It's like, everything we've ever dreamed of is just up ahead. Yes. She replied, heart racing. Her spirit soared, fueled by his belief. The crowd pulsed with renewed energy. Each person who moved forward seemed to draw more light into the arena, transforming doubt into unyielding faith. Mrs. Thompson led the charge, her feet light as she danced into the luminescence. Release that which binds you. Let go of fear, and embrace love. She proclaimed, her voice ringing clear like a bell. Her words danced in the air, spiraling around them until they felt the weight of those burdens lift, a shared experience that ignited another wave of tears, but these were tears of gratitude and hope. As they marched together, Sarah caught glimmers of faces illuminated by rays of gold, a tapestry of stories intertwined. Each beam of light felt like a whisper of encouragement, inviting them deeper into the divine embrace of transformation. Then, amidst the vibrant glow, Sarah noticed a small figure to the side. A young girl, timid and hesitant, lingered at the edge of the crowd. Her eyes were wide with fear, reflecting the struggle Sarah once felt. A wave of compassion washed over her. Remembering her own battles, Sarah took a step back, reaching toward the girl. "Come." She beckoned, her voice gentle yet soothing. "You don't have to be afraid. We're all here together, embracing healing." The young girl looked up, hesitated, then took a shaky step forward. "But what if I can't let go?" she murmured, doubt etched in her voice. "Then we'll take that step together," Sarah said, determination bubbling within her. "Let us carry the weight your heart bears. Trust in the light guiding us." With a nod, the girl crept forward, encouraged by Sarah's sincerity. As she stepped into the vibrant path, something remarkable happened. The light pulsed brighter, casting shimmering reflections on those around them. It was a miracle of connection, each soul lighting another, illuminating the way forward. With newfound unity, they resumed their march, voices rising in song. It was a melody of hope dissolving shadows, a sound rich enough to envelop them all. They breathed together as one. They shared burdens and broke chains, weaving an intricate fabric of light among hearts wide open. Then, a hush fell upon them, as if the entire universe paused in reverence. From somewhere deep within the light, a loud crack echoed, a soft yet firm reminder that a breakthrough was imminent. Sarah felt her heart race even more. What was about to unfold? Suddenly, from the depths of the glow emerged a radiant figure, draped in shimmering light. She exuded warmth and love, drawing them closer. A voice like honey enveloped them. "You have chosen the path of healing," it sang, "and now, together, you will uncover the secrets of your true potential." Excitement surged through Sarah. What awaited them on the other side of this divine revelation? What incredible truths were hidden beneath the layers of this magnificence? As if reading her thoughts, the glowing entity smiled. "Fear not, for each of you has a glorious calling. But first, you must face one last trial." Sarah's heart trembled at the words. What challenge lay ahead? Would they be ready to embrace it together? The crowd stirred with anticipation, and she realized this journey was far from over. It was merely transforming into something even greater. What would this healing trial reveal? Could they trust the path they tread upon? The luminous figure hovered before them, radiating strength and grace. The crowd settled into expectant silence, their hearts locked in unison, brimming with both eagerness and anxiety. Sarah felt an electric charge in the air, a divine pulse resonating with every beat of her heart. This was a moment of truth, a sacred pause before the unfurling of mysteries. "Listen closely," the radiant entity said, her voice soothing as a gentle breeze. "Your final trial is not just an act of courage, but an invitation to step deeper into your purpose. The path ahead requires transparency and unveiling of your true selves." She moved her hands like an artist shaping an unseen masterpiece, and a wave of shimmering light cascaded around each person. Sarah gasped as she felt warmth seep into her very bones. To heal, each of you must confront the light and shadow within. What do you hold on to that no longer serves you? What is stopping you from embracing the fullness of who you are meant to be? In that moment, Sarah's mind raced. She saw flickers of her past, the moments of doubt, hurt, and fear that clung to her heart like weeds in a garden. But alongside them, she remembered the love, the grace that followed her journey, lifting her from the shadows time and again. She started to see the beauty in both light and darkness, as parts of a grand design. "Trust the process," the entity continued, her voice flowing like honey. "Speak your truth into the light, and allow love to transform it. It must be expressed to be released." Sarah turned her gaze to the crowd, observing hopeful faces reflecting her own uncertainties. Mrs. Thompson stepped forward, her expression filled with conviction. "I've carried guilt and regret for too long, shackles of the past that weigh heavily on my heart." Her voice quivered as she spoke, but there was a fierce determination, an acknowledgement of the chains she wished to break. As she let her words slip free, Sarah noticed something remarkable. The clouds of darkness that surrounded Mrs. Thompson began to dissolve under the radiant light. The warmth they felt intensified, wrapping around them like a soft embrace. Others began to open their hearts too, stepping into their truth. I fear I'm not enough. A younger man cried out, his voice trembling with vulnerability. I've let comparison steal my joy. I want to let it go. The moment he released those words, the light surged, brighter elation radiated outward, and soft gasps of awe escaped the crowd. Every confession was a thread, weaving a brilliant tapestry of healing in the air. It was profound, they were not alone in their struggles. Together, they were transforming into something beautiful. Sarah found her own voice rising with the collective flow. I have been afraid of failure, she exclaimed. But now, I realize that every step, every stumble, leads me closer to my truth. They were stepping into their vulnerabilities, and with each confession, they were being transformed. The trials laid bare their struggles, but love was interspersed within. Unseen hands held them steady as they faced their fears. Goodness rises from honesty, the glowing figure spoke, and the walls built from fear will crumble before the light of truth. In that moment, the air sang with the energy of a bond forged in faith. An unbreakable connection enveloped them, and as the final shadows lifted, Sarah felt a tangible shift within her. She was not merely sharing her burdens, she was shedding them. Now, the radiant figure declared, embrace the light emerging from within. What you have released will pave the way for your divine manifestations. And at that instant, Sarah realized that the challenge they faced was not an end, but a beautiful new beginning. What would this newfound light inspire them to create? How would it redefine their paths ahead? The answers slipped just beyond her grasp, glimmering like distant stars waiting to be discovered. As the final currents of light swirled around them, Sarah felt an unmistakable shift in the atmosphere. She sensed a collective awakening among the congregation, an invigorating surge that coursed through their unified spirits, each heart not just healing, but blossoming, blooming into the promise of the divine. The radiant figure stood calm yet powerful, her presence illuminating every corner of the church. Now is the time to embrace the visions ignited within you, to let them manifest in ways that will radiate hope throughout Ashford. Her words echoed with an ethereal resonance, leading Sarah and the others deeper into the revelations unfolding before them. A wave of murmurs arose as individuals shared glimpses of their dreams, aspirations woven together with their prayers. The air vibrated with excitement, the congregation catching fire with purpose. Sarah felt an uncontainable joy bubbling inside her. She was called to lead this transformation through faith. They would heal not only themselves but their village, their community. Ethan stepped forward, his eyes ablaze. Together, we can turn this moment into a movement. Healing doesn't stop with us, it spreads like wildfire. His voice rallied the spirits, igniting belief and hope. Everyone nodded in fervent agreement, hearts intertwining as they cheered. Let us start with acts of kindness, Sarah proposed, feeling the weight of divine inspiration resting upon her shoulders. We can help those in need, become a beacon of love. The congregation erupted in enthusiastic nods and shouts of Amen. As they spoke, a vision formed, an outreach program that would feed the hungry, a healing event to restore the weary. Collective strength oozed from their hearts like a sweet fragrance, lifting them higher. A culture of love and unity took root in Ashford, born from the trials that once bound them. Then, as the congregation linked hands, Sarah felt the energy surge again, a promise fulfilled, a tangible connection pulsating like a heartbeat in the sacred space. Pray. Let us commit to lifting each other up, Mrs. Thompson proposed, her eyes glistening with commitment. We're now vessels of His love. At that moment, they inhaled deeply, breathing in the divine purpose, and in unison began to recite their shared intentions: we choose to love, we choose to heal, we choose to serve. Their voices rang strong, breaking any lingering doubts, resonating like heavenly bells. In that unity, Sarah looked up at the radiant figure bathing them in warm, golden light. Let us, she implored. What else must we do? Trust, the figure replied softly. With your stepping into love, fear has retreat. With your unfolding power of faith, miracles are not out of reach. And with those divine words, a powerful surge swept through the congregation, they were no longer just a group of individuals seeking healing. They had become a vibrant body of believers, each unique yet harmonized into one living prayer. As they caught the fervor, elevated spirits ignited the room, moving them towards purpose. Silence fell momentarily, pregnant with possibilities, as sparkles of light cascaded around them, a visual symphony of divine presence wrapping their surrender in love. Then, a shift. The energy ebbed, replaced by a soothing warmth that settled in their hearts. It whispered promises of transformation, of love overflowing and spreading through all of Ashford. They could already sense its ripple effect, intertwining them with the very fabric of their community. Suddenly, the figure gestured toward the open door. The way forward was clear. Step boldly into this mission. Equip yourselves with love in action, touch more lives with every heartbeat. At that moment, the air pulsed with purpose. Sarah could see paths unfurling like vibrant ribbons before her, paths to the hungry, the broken-hearted, the lost. Her heart felt lighter than air. "How incredible," whispered Ethan, his wide-eyed enthusiasm palpable. "Can you imagine? Together, we'll build something extraordinary." They knew their purpose had blossomed from struggles. Surrendered, a spiritual awakening that spread far beyond their own healing. With uncontainable excitement, they surged toward the exit, ready to embrace the world waiting outside. As they stepped beyond the threshold, radiant sunlight bathed their faces, mirroring the newfound joy within. Together, as they marched forward, each step grounded in faith and unified purpose, they began a journey filled with boundless love. The congregation, now an army of light, would transform their village into a sanctuary of hope and healing. "Let the divine manifestations flow," Sarah declared, her voice echoing in the surrounding streets. And in that transformative embrace of surrender, the door to their collective destiny swung wide open. They stepped into a world alive with the possibility of divine healing, experiencing the living embodiment of faith. This was just the beginning, a sacred manifestation of love and purpose, igniting their hearts, forever entwined in the infinite grace of God. Now, as you embark on your own journey of faith and healing, remember, share this light. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let others discover the miracles waiting to be unveiled. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this miraculous ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful manifestation. This is the moment to show your support and watch the light multiply. Don't wait even one more second, because only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this divine mission.